Welcome to Well and Worthy Life. I am so excited that you are back with me on this podcast. So I have another wonderful guest with me today, Susie Wright. Susie, oh my gosh, you probably are already following her on Instagram, but she has taught me so much, and I keep buying all your products, Susie. So
Oh, good.
so Susie, thank you so much for joining me here on the Well and Worthy Life podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, it's funny because I've been following you for a while, and we kind of made the connection on a phone call earlier. We have a mutual, really good friend, Kathy Williamson, the Middle Page blog, and so I love everything. In fact, every part of your style. I am
Oh,
like, oh, I could wear that. Oh, I like that. And
yeah.
so we were just talking, and we are about the same age. So that's probably part of it,
Yes.
but I don't find that everywhere. I don't, I follow a lot of different fashion influencers, and
Yeah.
there's some things that I'm like, no, I would not wear that. But I think almost everything that you put out there, I would wear. In fact, just this weekend, I bought some of the shoes that you had shared.
Oh,
So
good.
anyway, but
Yeah.
let's talk about how you got started doing this
Yes.
and how long ago that was.
Yes. Well, I was working at Nordstrom. So I basically worked at Nordstrom for maybe half my lifetime, could be a little bit
Wow.
more.
Wow.
And one time I was in my early 50s and my 20 something managers came up to me and was like, Susie, I think you should start an Instagram. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. And so I'm one of those that I just jump in. I don't really, I think that's kind of almost the best advice I tell people. And obviously it doesn't work for everybody because some people need to really think things through. And there's room for that too. But I'm just one of those that I just dive right in. So literally I came home, I told my husband, I hired a photographer because I had never taken a selfie of myself. And so that's when it started. I think I was maybe 52 or 51, I think it was. But yeah, so
That's awesome. That was about the same time I started. And it's funny because we talked about this because I started off just a blog, but I was real confused at first of who I was because my friend Kathy was helping me, and I was trying to do what she
yeah,
was doing. I'm like, no, no, no. That's not what I want to do. I want to share about
right.
health and wellness, not fashion. Although I do
Yeah.
love fashion.
Yes.
So okay, so you just jumped into it. And
I
that's
jumped
a
in. Yeah.
great piece of advice because I think some people, especially as you get older, you overthink it, don't you
Yes.
think? And
Yeah.
you're scared of what other people are going to think.
Yeah.
Were you
I mean,
scared of what other people were going to
yes.
think?
Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, as a matter of fact, I mean, I live in a pretty, tight community here in Portland. And, I have three kids. And so I just basically, my daughter told me the other day, Mom, you know more people than you just know people, especially when
Yeah.
I've grown up here. And so in the beginning, I would have people say to me, like, what are you doing? And, because it's a bit strange all of a sudden to like be all over social media and taking selfies. And so I think an outside person, when you don't really know what you're doing, you're like, what are you doing? Who do you think you are? And so sometimes that's was hard. It's not so much now, but yeah. And back to what you were saying when you first started and you were doing fashion, I think the cool thing about this little journey is that everyone has a lane and
Mhm.
we're all doing our own spin on something and there's just kind of room for everybody. And so I really do firmly believe that. And so
Oh,
it's
I
just
agree.
fun seeing what everyone does.
I agree. In the community, it's funny because I've met so many people on Instagram that I really would consider friends. I mean, I may not have met them in person. Some people I
Yeah,
do end up meeting in person, but I'll talk through the DMs or we'll actually get on a call. And I love that part of it. So it can be a
yeah,
very supportive and empowering community, which I think is really
definitely.
says a lot for women our age,
Yeah.
to
I think
support each
that's
other.
I think that might be one of the biggest surprises of this whole
Mhm.
journey is meeting either other creators like Kathy, who have met
Mhm.
in person twice, and then yourself. And so that's been a lovely little surprise in life. And then also connecting with the women that I'm helping get dressed and those
Mm.
relationships. Like if you would have told us 10 years ago, you're going to go on the internet, you're going to like meet really cool people. You'd be like, that's so strange. No. And it's true. I mean, and they're all we're all in the same boat together. So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
really amazing thing.
Yeah, I do love it. And that's the beauty of it too. You can connect from across the world because
Yeah.
you're in Portland, Oregon, way across from me.
Right.
You're in Alabama. But that's the beauty of it. Okay, so let's go back to when you first started.
Okay.
You said something about, about how people can, because when I first started, I had somebody actually in my family, not a close relative, but she would kind of make fun of me when I was doing my stories because I was new, and so you
Right.
come on there and and she would kind of make fun of me. She would do it in front of my face. It wasn't like she was doing it behind my back.
Right.
But later on, she was like, wow, you've really done something. Did you have anything like that? Anybody that or they said, I remember Kathy and I talking about this, people would go, oh, so how's your little blog going? Like, it's just like this little pastime. And it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. I don't think I knew that I was onto something. I started the blog. I actually, my whole Instagram thing was one thing. And so I started that in 2017, I think, but the blog was 2018. And after month 4, I knew I was onto something. I just did. But I don't think even my husband, my kids, no, and I could see all the numbers and I analyze stuff all day long and I just knew. But anyway, I don't think anyone, even my husband right now, he's like, wow. But I don't think anyone really thought that, it was this little, that it would, not that I don't mean that people didn't believe in me. I just don't think even I didn't know that you could kind of build a business, I guess, online. So yeah.
And it is crazy what you can do. And so how did your children feel about it when you first started?
Well, my daughter, who's 25, and it was a joke in our family, Mom, you take the worst photos in the family.
Oh, no.
And it was true. I'd be like this, or it'd be terrible. My kids would be like, Mom, just relax, And so, but they've always just been so supportive. And when I first got on Instagram or whatever, I had to always ask my kids for help. I still have to ask the other day, my Zoom wouldn't work. I'm like to my son, help. And so my kids have just been super supportive. And actually my daughter now works with me, and talk about a mom's dream come true.
Oh, exactly. That is so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny because I found out later, I thought my children were pretty supportive, and really, they really were fairly supportive. But I heard from somebody else that my oldest son told somebody, oh my gosh, mother's on Instagram. And, and then surprise, anyway, it was just kind of funny to see their reactions. But I think that I know I have run across clients before that they want to do something more and they're afraid of what their children would think. And I actually had one client who she really had this passion to become a coach, and she wouldn't do it because her boys, she had 3 boys like me, they did not want her on Instagram. And I was like, oh my goodness. I think we all support each other, and that's part of, I would want my children to support me. They may think I'm silly or do something silly. I know that my children don't always watch what I'm doing on Instagram, which is great. It's fine. It's fine with me. And I'm sure they don't listen to my podcast. But I do think it's funny how and what advice would you give somebody if they said their children wouldn't want them?
Gosh, that's a tough one. I can't imagine my kids. Every now and then, I remember in the beginning, I put a song up that had some swear words in it. And for some reason, I didn't catch it, and my kids are like, Mom, you have to take that down, but, and of course I'm like, oh my gosh, because I obviously don't want to offend people either. But I don't know. My kids have just been supportive. I think it's just about holding yourself to not high standards. I don't know if that's the right word I want to say, but I'm going to try to not embarrass my kids.
Right.
you know, and I'm going to try to make sure I'm representing, but not everybody wants to do that. I have a friend in Portland. She's a mom, and I'll have to tell you off of this what her Instagram is, but it's a little crazy. And if I was doing, and no judgment, because to
Uh-huh.
each their own, and she has a lane and people are following her. But like if I did that, my kids would
Yeah, they
probably
would not like
unfollow
that.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would
Yeah.
not like that. So I still think it's just, if you know, as women and moms, you know, we many of us spend time either staying at home or working part-time, whatever, or working full-time, whatever it is. But I think there comes this stage where our kids get a little bit older. We have to do something for ourselves. I mean, I feel like I've got, I mean, I don't know, 58, 60, 70, 88. Like I got 30 more years or 40 more years. I like don't want to just lose my brain.
Exactly. And
And
you
what
know
else?
that exactly. Well, and the other thing is that when you talk about lose your brain, you know, if we're not trying to learn new things, and
Yeah.
let's face it, some of this technology that we do, it really is challenging. Like you said,
Yes.
you have to ask your children. I mean, my children, I mean, I can't even ask them anymore. They're like,
Yeah. I
Mom,
can't either. Yeah.
I have my youngest son is IT, and he built my website at first. And then finally he was like, Mom, I'm done. You got to find somebody else. And I was happy to find somebody else that I could
Yeah.
actually pay to do it, because
Right.
he was not working on my time frame.
Right. 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 Right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So so have you always loved fashion? Working
Yes.
at Nordstrom and everything, I would think
Yeah.
so.
Well, I grew up in a small town and I worked in a little boutique when I was in high school, but then I got my Nordstrom job the month that I graduated from high school. So yes, so
Wow.
I literally had just kind of grew up in Nordstrom, and I worked there during the summers and stuff during Christmas and spring breaks when I was at college. And
Mhm,
so I did go 4 years at Oregon State University. And
mhm.
then, yeah, so I've loved fashion. And then as soon as I finished college, I went back to Nordstrom, and within, I want to say, a couple years, I was a buyer for Nordstrom. And so, and off I was going to New York. So
Oh, and you know, it's funny because I've been a buyer for about that long, not very long, but I was a buyer when I owned my Pure Barre studio, and I bought all the athletic wear, all the new stuff, and I loved
yeah.
it. But man, that's a job. Everybody
Yes.
thinks it's so glamorous.
Oh no.
It is not glamorous at all, is it?
No, no, it's not glamorous. And also just working at Nordstrom, you know, and Nordstrom is a little bit friendlier place to work at. The now probably many places are now, but when I was just out of college, it was just, not to say things aren't intense now, but it was just intense. And if you had bad business, they were just like all over you.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it was pretty stressful, but luckily I had good business in all the different areas that I bought in. So it was a super fun job.
Oh, that's great. Okay, and
Yeah.
another thing you said is you analyze things. So would you consider yourself an entrepreneurial person? Like you are a businesswoman?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
I mean, it is obviously what people see on the face is me playing dress up in my closet, right?
Right.
And I'm going on, you know, vacations or whatever. But no, I would say right now I'm working. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say I need to figure this. We need to have a separate coaching meeting for me, because I am spending 24/7 and I haven't been exercising, which I eat healthy. So that's good. But yeah, I just have to start kind of changing things. But it is definitely a business, and it is, and I analyze not too much, but I feel like I analyze kind of just the right amount. Plus I have a certain kind of gut feeling, and I can see kind of by the numbers what blog posts do well and what people are interested in right now. So I've
Mhm.
always had, that's kind of my I don't know if I'm not, I don't want to call it a gift, but it's my, I just have a gut feeling that's usually pretty good, pretty spot on. Not
And
always.
so, and you know, well, not always, right? But I
Yeah.
think women in general, we have this intuition, and a lot
Yeah.
of times we do not listen to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I agree, and I understand the you know, trying to do it all. There's so
Yeah.
much to do, and there's so much opportunity, right? And it's so
Right.
hard to say no to things.
Right. Right.
But
Right. Right.
I'm kind of like you. By the time this airs, I'm going to be taking a little break
Oh,
because
nice.
Yes. And I just decided that I was constantly launching new programs, constantly on Instagram, constantly promoting something, doing a
Yeah.
podcast, and I'm like, now I do get my movement in, but it just
Yes.
mentally, I'm like, man, I need some space to
Yeah.
create. I don't know if you get like this, but it's like there's just so much that I don't have the space to be creative because
Yeah.
part of our job is being creative.
Creative.
Mhm.
Yes, definitely.
So,
That's actually a surprise or kind of a surprise to me, but I agree with you. I would say, I mean, I don't know what percent, I haven't ever thought about the percent, but it is a big part is being creative.
mhm.
And for me, I have a little team and I need to not work with them so I can and I get creative when I'm driving and I'm not trying to be creative or I'm, I don't know, trying at the garden store or whatever. And so I
Mhm.
think that's why I need to allow more time or probably would get and like I would take a walk in my neighborhood,
Mhm.
but our weather is so bad. I'm using that as a bad excuse. But I would go on an hour walk and I'd maybe listen to a podcast or maybe I wouldn't listen to
Mhm.
anything. And the ideas I'd come back with like 5 ideas that I'd be
Right.
typing on my phone or, so yeah,
Mhm.
I do think a big part of what you and I are doing is I'm creative and so making space for that. But I want to know where are you gonna go or what are you gonna do?
Well, so and
Oh,
that's why I love your posts. So, well, so we're getting ready to launch a program, Balance Movement Method. So that will run till mid-April. Then I'll have a couple of weeks, just some downtime. Now I'm going to be on Instagram some, but I'm not going to be
yeah,
promoting any product, any programs or anything. I
yeah.
probably won't really promote programs until the fall. But in May, I'm headed to Italy for about 10 days and then France for about 10 days. 20 days I'm going to be
Oh,
gone.
and who are you going with?
Well, so the first part is with some girlfriends, and we
Uh-huh.
signed up for this retreat back in, gosh, we signed up last May. It's a retreat in Lake Como. This
Oh
company
my God.
called Cottage in the Oaks is putting it on, and it's a creative retreat. So we'll be staying at this beautiful house or chateau or whatever it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't know my roommate, but I'm okay with that. I'm like, I don't care.
You have to have a roommate?
Well, you have to have a roommate because the way it's set up. My
Yeah.
friend already had another friend that she was going with. So,
Yeah.
so anyway, but one day we do flower arranging, one day we do cooking, one day we do pottery. We do all these things, journaling. I'm like, I'm really excited about that. But we're
Yeah.
going a few days early and we're going to
Uh-huh.
Venice
Nice.
for one night, and then we're going to stay in Milan for a few nights. Like I said, then we go over to Lake Como from
Uh-huh.
it's like a Monday to Sunday, I think. And then on Sunday, I'm flying from Milan to Nice and meeting my husband, and we're doing Provence.
Oh, I love the Provence area. How fun.
Yeah. So I've never been to these areas. And so I'm
Yeah.
super excited. And I'm going to try and pack everything
Oh gosh.
in a
In a
carry-on.
carry-on?
I'm going to. I may be packing some stuff in my husband's, but I'm going to try my best. And that's why I love all your travel inspiration, your travel clothes and everything, because
Yeah.
if it's almost like having a capsule wardrobe, right?
Yes.
Do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's luckily for you, it's easier to go in the summer because you can just like pack easy dresses
Mhm.
that are like daytime dresses and they take up no room. So that's good. I can't decide. There's a tiny part of me, I think packing in a carry on is overrated. So, but anyway, hats off to people. I don't know
Well, I'll
why
tell you
did
the
I do
only
that
reason
again.
we're going to do it. And
Yeah.
and because I was thinking about this and the other two girls are doing it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't really want to do that. I kind of
Yeah.
like you. I'm like, why not just check your bag?
Right.
But we're going to be moving. So
Yes.
when we get to Milan, we are taking a train and going straight to Venice, staying there one night. And so the thought of dragging a bigger
I agree.
suitcase on a train and then coming back, that's the part
Yeah.
that has got me like, okay. So I'm going to really try I'm gonna do my best. But I bought a specific suitcase that
Good.
and the cubes and all that, along with another bag that fits on top that's kind of
Good.
bigger. So
Yep.
I'm trying to be very smart about it. And the shoe I bought, one of the shoes I bought from that you shared was it was the clear, I can't remember who makes
the
it.
shuts. It's the shuts.
Yes,
Does it have the
yes,
cork heel?
yes.
Yeah, that
Mhm.
shoe's perfect. It'll go with every single dress for when you want to
Mhm.
get a little bit dressed up, right? And then
Right,
you need a
right.
flat sandal. You probably
Yeah.
only need, you could wear sneakers on the plane. You need a flat sandal to wear every day for comfortable, and then that one, and you're good.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
planning on. I mean, like
yeah,
and that's what I loved about, I was like, okay, I can do this.
yeah,
And then just like you said, dresses and in May, it's going to be a little bit cooler. So,
yes,
a couple of like just throw on some, I don't know. I'm going to
yeah,
keep watching everything that you're
yeah,
doing.
yeah,
I have
yeah.
saved a lot of your blog posts and everything
Oh,
because it's so helpful to kind of look and think, okay, I can do this.
yeah,
So,
yeah. Well, you can. And I agree with you moving all around. It's
mhm,
better to not have to. I overpacked and when I went with my son, even though I was
mhm.
going on this carry-on and my son, I think I hadn't even left we had to fly Portland to Seattle. I hadn't even left Seattle and like my bag tipped over and I almost fell. And he
Oh
was
no.
like, Mom. That was that. He got mad at me like 2 times. I think that was one of them. I kept tripping. He was like, "You overpacked your carry-on."
Oh,
But
well, it's so funny. When I went with my son and daughter-in-law, we went to Seattle for my niece's
oh,
wedding last year.
uh-huh.
And so I pack a regular suitcase. And these
Yeah,
people, now we had to go to a wedding and
right.
rehearsal and all that. So I'm like, I pack a regular suitcase.
Suitcase,
And
yeah.
both of them, they had a carry-on. I'm like, and it
Oh my
wasn't a
gosh.
big carry-on. I'm like, how do you people do this? I'm like, I don't know.
That's so funny.
But
You know what I think the older we get, it's like when I was younger, it didn't matter as much, but the older I get, I have things that like I can't live without. Like I
oh
have to
yeah.
have like my chapstick. Like it kind of just ruins my
Mhm.
day if I don't have my chapstick I use every day and just these little things. I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah, it is. It's funny because we get in our routine too. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I got to have all my supplements with me.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of, in fact, when I travel with all my supplements, my husband's like, that is ridiculous. I'm like, I know. I'm trying to cut back. I'm trying not to have so many supplements, but I
Oh,
feel so much better
that's
when I
funny.
take them all. So
Yeah,
anyway,
there you go.
so what would you
Oh,
say? I know you get messages every day from all kinds of women. What are some of the questions that some people are asking you?
well, definitely right now, everyone wants to know what to wear to a wedding. So that's top.
Oh, yes.
And then another question I get all the time is what length should denim be at? Because, it's hard.
Mm,
And obviously, we're all different heights. And so that's definitely as well. Lots of denim questions. Length certainly is a top one. But yeah, lots of denim questions, dress questions.
What's your
I'm a
fa-
lot travel questions.
Go ahead. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Lots of I said lots of travel questions. I'm going to
Yeah.
Italy for 10 days. What do you recommend? Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's good. And you've done some great posts on that. Okay. So, what is your favorite denim? Do you have a favorite?
Yes, I do, definitely. I
What?
mean, I have too many jeans and I need to tell myself I need to
I
stop
do
buying jeans
too.
because what I tell people is like I'm to the point if I buy another jean, it's not going to make or break any of my outfits. If you see me in a new jean, I'm going to look just the same as I did in last month's jean. But I'm kind of using the blog excuses. If people want to know how the AG Fair boot cut fits, I need to kind of know. So I would say my favorite jean probably could be mother jeans. They just fit me really well and they have like 3 different fits that I love. But then I also like certain couple of fits from Paige and a couple fits from Frame. So those would be like kind of my 3 go-to brands. And by the
Mhm.
way, they're the top 3 selling brands in the denim department at Nordstrom. And so I always tell people if you want to buy jeans online, this is so funny to me, but I'm always saying buy bestsellers because I mean,
Mhm.
obviously there are people. I have a fashion friend in my neighborhood and she's so cool. She can go buy she bought a pair of Gucci crazy jeans that look amazing on her,
Oh,
but that's
wow.
not who I'm talking to. Like she's
Right.
the outlier. I'm talking to just like most of us that just want to get some good jeans online. If you stick with these best selling like brands and fits, they're best sellers for a reason. They fit like 9 out of 10 women. So that's what, so then people will write me like, I've been trying so many jeans on and I haven't had any luck. And so I'll write back like, well, tell me what the jeans are that you've tried on. And there are these one-offs that are, and I'm thinking to myself, well, no wonder. If you just
Exactly.
like,
Yeah.
I can tell you could probably tell most women buy these 4 jeans and bring them in. I'm sure one will fit. So anyway, so I'm pretty convinced on that buying strategy when you're buying online. Of course,
Right.
if you want to go in store, then it's a different thing than try on a bunch. But yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Mother is one of my favorites also. But gosh, I've been wearing Mother jeans once I discovered them. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. It was one of the first brands of, well, I know who helped me discover it was Kathy.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
in Dallas with her and it was on a girls' trip. And so this had to have been like 10 years ago, 10 or 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And the other thing Kathy taught me, and she taught me this years ago, was I was buying my jeans too big.
Oh, right. Because they stretch. Yeah.
Exactly. And do you see people doing that same
Oh yeah,
thing?
we all do. Even sometimes I make a
Yeah.
mistake and buy them, so yeah, it's a fine line of tight, but not too tight. And then of course
Yeah.
now jeans are getting a lot looser and that's hard for a lot of people to pull off. I mean, for some reason our daughters seem to pull it off perfectly.
Exactly.
Then I try to put that on and I look like I've gained 10 pounds. And so I'm not really into looking like I've gained 10 pounds.
No, me either. How tall are you, Susie?
I'm 5'1".
Okay, so you're short. Like I'm like
Yeah, how tall are you?
5'2", and so
Oh,
yeah, and
okay.
I definitely think you have to be very careful
Yeah.
on these jeans when you're, especially. I'm not willing to wear a platform anymore. I might
Yeah.
occasionally, but for the most part, if I wear any kind of heel, it's going to be a low heel because what I've decided is if it's not comfortable, I'm not
Right.
wearing it.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
mm-mm. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So,
agree. No, I think when we're five, we're kind of in that 5'2" and under, jeans can be pretty tricky.
mhm. Do you see any colors that are going to be really hot for summer?
Well, I just got the new Neiman Marcus catalog and I was reading it this morning while sipping my coffee. And yellow is definitely a color they talked about in their magazine today. That's a hard color for some people to wear.
Uh-huh.
But shades of purple and, kind of lilac and lavender all the way to a little bit deeper purple. And that is usually a pretty universally flattering color on most skin
Mhm.
tones. So anyway, yeah, I'd say that's kind of one. And then of course, green, that kind of Kelly green is still trending. It's still kind of showing up. So that's another color everyone likes.
I love that. So do
Yeah.
you try to go with trends or do you settle into more of classic basic style? What would
Well,
you
I kind
say?
of have a feeling on that. And that is that I think the older we get, I think our wardrobes, I mean, I always used to tell people in the dressing room, I work at Nordstrom, so I have a slant of being a little bit more like stylish and up on trends. That's just who I
Mm.
am, and I'm not for everybody.
Right.
So my little lane is I think obviously we need some of those basic pieces like jeans and maybe a black blazer and a couple dress like we need our basics.
Mhm.
But the key for us to feel, I don't know if this is the right word, but youthful and current is to add in a few trendy pieces. Now, and again, trendy pieces mean something different to everyone. I'm not saying like crazy, like for me, I just think platforms. I don't know. I do see J Lo in some platforms, and I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, well, she can pull that off. I don't know. I just feel like that's just a little. I might have to skip that trend. So I'm not talking
Mhm.
all trends. You have to find, and it could be a color trend, right? It doesn't have
Mhm.
to be anything crazy. So it could be bringing in a pretty shade of lilac and a green, or it could be making sure your jeans are current.
Mhm.
And then like I'm skipping the cutout trends because I'll sit down and like my roll will come out of the cutout. Right. So I mean, there's like some trends that I think that we have to skip. But then again, if you're my age and you're kind of got a ripped tummy, well, then wear a cutout, So
Right.
I just think adding in a few and adapting it to your style is a way it makes your wardrobe more interesting for starters. And then it keeps us kind of current. And I always say, working at Nordstrom all these years has kept me young because I'm not trying to be my daughter's age. I'm not trying to dress like that, but it has kept me young, just kind of knowing what's current, but
Yeah.
still keeping in my style.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure. So do you have like your favorite splurges, like things that you're going to pay more for that you
Mhm.
recommend others do too? I mean, sometimes you don't want to, overpay for a major trend that you're only going to wear
Right.
for a year, but are there some splurges?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the art of dressing, honestly.
Yeah.
And I helped women in the dressing room that some of them, even the ones that had larger budgets than others, they
Mhm.
still want to have a high-low mix and loved a deal. So I think so, like for example, t-shirts, you don't need to spend a ton of money on. And even like I'm seeing you're wearing a white shirt, like
Mhm.
you don't really need to spend a lot on that. So if you had a kind of, but I do think spend the money on jeans under
Mhm.
300, but in the
Mhm.
200-ish dollar range, and then only buy two and wear them all the
Right.
time,
Mhm.
right? So you don't need 10 jeans. But I think splurging on items like handbags
Mhm.
and a couple of designer pieces. And for me, like I love a little bit of a heel. And
Mhm.
so I try to remind myself I'm not going to buy a designer flat because I want
Mhm.
to make sure I wear it all the time. So I will buy a designer heel. I'm not talking crazy heel, but
Mhm.
whatever heel. And so I have to remind myself because every now and then I'll see a designer flat. I will buy a designer flat sandal, but I have to remind myself I'm not going to buy that because I just don't wear it that much. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, so I think adding in a piece or two and handbags and shoes are probably the first place that comes to mind.
Yeah, I agree totally. And there's a handbag I keep watching you, and you've had it for a few years that I'm getting ready to purchase myself because I want
Oh,
it so bad. It's your little Gucci bucket bag.
yes, such a great bag. And here's the other thing is like my sister-in-law was always a good example because she didn't want to spend the money on jeans. And I think by the time she bought five $50 pair of jeans, she could have bought the one $250 jean, right?
And
And
worn that every day and
and
nobody would
worn it
know. Yeah.
every
Mhm.
single day. So I think
Mhm.
like that handbag, I have it in the ivory color and I've
Mhm.
had it for 3 years. I still love it. I wore it the other day. So you tend to, if you choose carefully, it's the best money that you'll spend. And again, it doesn't have to be a Gucci bag. It can be, a $500 bag, whatever your
Right.
designer purchase idea is.
Mhm.
But if you do choose wisely, you will wear it all the time. And I think that's the biggest thing I try to help people with on the blog is when you're splurging, make sure it's stuff that you wear all the time and you can wear it most seasons and with multiple outfits. So
Yeah.
yeah, you'll
Mhm.
love that bag. And the chain
Mhm.
on that bag, it's just pretty.
Well, I saw it in person because another friend of mine, actually a coach that works with me, she came
Uh-huh.
to visit last October and she had gotten it because you had posted about
Oh,
it.
funny.
And me and my other friend were like, oh, we want that bag. So I kept looking at it, kept looking. And then when I saw you doing it again, I'm like, I'm getting that bag.
Yeah.
But I am going to save a little bit of money because I'm doing it on through Fashion File. Have you ever
Oh,
heard of Fashion
yes.
File? So
Yes.
I've gotten a couple of purses that way. I will always watch and look and make sure it's really good, because they
Yeah.
have a little bit of things, but as rough as I am on things, I'm like, it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be brand spanking new as long as it's in good condition and you can save some
Right.
money that way. So,
Yeah, definitely. Fashion File is cool. I actually did a partnership, a collaboration with Fashion File, and I was in LA, I think a year ago, and I was in the Neiman Marcus kind of off Rodeo Drive, and I was just shopping around, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a Fashion File office in Neiman Marcus, and
oh,
so I think I don't know if they own it, but they're somehow partnered, and so Fashion File is definitely reputable and it's a perfect way to buy a bag
mhm.
because they have different different conditions, good and whatever. So yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I
great
mean,
way to save money.
it's been, like I said, I've bought two other bags like that I have loved so much. So I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, so I've already saved it in my favorites and I'm going to
good.
go and get it in a little
Yeah.
while. So anyway, okay. So wedding. What do you, when
Oh,
somebody's asking you about wedding, what are you saying right now?
okay. Well, here's the problem. I haven't been to a wedding in like 20 years. I mean,
Oh my goodness, are your children not at the ages where they're
they're
no.
just, my daughter is 26
Oh,
today,
that's right. Okay.
actually.
Oh,
Today.
that's right.
Um, so she's finally, I'm like, okay, she's kind of finally at the age, she's not
Mm,
married but so no, I mean, I've been to two, I
right.
shouldn't say that. I've been to two weddings, but they weren't like big fancy ones that I'm helping some of my online friends with. And so, right. And actually today I have a good client I used to help at Nordstrom, and I'm helping her today. We're going to go over. So I just need to
Fun.
do more research. And then
Mhm.
I finally have my own wedding to attend. My nephew's getting married this summer. So now, and of course, my daughter Emily's like, Mom, we got to get some really cute dresses because, I'm hosting a shower. And so, anyway, so I'm still in the research mode for weddings. Let's just say that. But I will be writing
Mhm.
about it soon on the blog.
Oh, that's good. Well, I went to my niece's wedding last year in Seattle.
Yeah.
And so everybody that knows me and follows along knows that my husband's family owns a store called Gus Meyer, and we carry Zimmerman. And I
Oh,
had two perfect dresses that were Zimmerman. And then when my son got married, my son eloped in October to Scotland. I didn't go, just he and his wife. But when they came back in December, we had a big party and I wore another Zimmerman. So
oh,
Zimmerman has been like one of my go-to. And I have, when I post pictures, everybody's like, oh my gosh.
yes.
Um, so
Zimmerman is, as a matter of fact, I bought a Zimmerman dress to wear to I went to a special event in Dallas with the
mhm,
LTK, and
mhm,
that was my special dress. And I actually just photographed it last week, and my daughter was like,
mhm,
Mom, this is my favorite dress you've ever owned. And
mhm.
there's just something they're splurge, but
They are a splurge.
they are a
They
splurge,
are.
but there is just something so feminine and pretty, and they make the
Mhm,
perfect, like, if you're going to a wedding. I couldn't
mhm.
agree more.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, I felt like, and I do feel like, if you are dressed, there's nothing like putting on an outfit and feeling like $1,000,000. And I really did, whatever price range you're getting into,
Yes.
I
Yep.
definitely think try on, make sure that everything fits and nothing's
Yep.
sliding. And there's nothing worse than to
Yes.
get
Yeah.
somewhere and you're like, oh, I hate this. I do not feel comfortable in
Yes.
this. It's funny that I say that because I'm I'm on my third marriage.
Yeah.
But say that's my last one for sure. But on my third marriage, I really wanted to just go off with my husband and get married because I mean, it's just ridiculous, 3 weddings. But
Yeah.
my husband's family, my husband's father, he really wanted to be there. And so we got married at his house. So I needed a dress. And so I looked and looked and had the hardest time. And finally, at the last minute, I just found a dress that they actually had in the store, and I had it altered to fit me. And I didn't really try it on again after they altered it. I wore it
Oh,
on my wedding day, but it looked fine in the
good.
pictures. But can I
Yeah.
tell you, I did not feel like $1,000,000. And it
Oh,
was just like, it
was the
just,
alteration not right?
it was probably right, but I just, I had looked and looked and I was like, what do you even freaking buy for your third wedding? It's before
Yeah.
I found Zimmerman. If I'd known about Zimmerman,
Right. Right. Right.
but this was 9 years ago. And I did not feel beautiful.
Oh.
And so I do, in fact, I was just telling my husband the other day, so we've been married almost 9 years, and said, when we hit 10 years, we're going to have another wedding and I'm going to
Yes.
get a fabulous dress.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Round two.
That's
Yes.
right. So,
Well, I agree
anyway.
with you on making sure when you have something altered to try it on, because I also did something like that. And I had a special black tie event that I was going to, and I knew about it all year. And it was something I just wanted to look like extra, extra pretty. I splurged. I spent the most I've ever spent on a dress, and I had it altered, and I didn't try it on either. And I wore it to the event, and I was like, I don't feel comfortable. And finally, I don't know why, I was kind of touching there, and I'm like, the darts, are supposed to be like there.
Oh,
And they had
they were,
lifted it up, and my darts were like an inch above my boobs. And the whole night I just felt not cute. I mean, and that was I had worn a Zimmerman dress earlier and I felt like $1,000,000.
Right.
And anyway, so yeah, so definitely learn from both of us. And if you have something altered, try it on.
Yes.
And
And
have
then,
it re-altered if need be.
exactly. Then the other time I bought something that looked, I mean, I tried it on. It was this beautiful sequin jumpsuit. Oh, it was stunning, but I didn't sit or move in it before the event.
Oh,
Can I tell you? Okay, it was like a halter, but it came up almost like a little turtleneck neck from the sequins. It
oh,
hurt so bad. And then it had this big cut down the middle. And when I sat, it was like,
oh no.
it was a disaster. All I was like, let's go. It's time to go.
Yeah.
Can we please go? I'm so uncomfortable. So you've got to try it on. You got to move around, sit down, do all the things in it because that was miserable.
Yes.
Miserable. Susie, let's tell everybody where they can find you. I know most of my listeners are already following you, but for those that aren't already following you, where can they find you?
Well, you can find me on my website at sosusiewright.com. I bought that because it was $7 at the time.
Wow.
But now I recently bought sosusie.com, but it's not up and running yet. So anyway, sosusiewright.com.
Okay, great. And on Instagram, you
and
are?
on Instagram, Susie.Wright.
Yes. And you write, your blog posts are, I mean, most everything you're doing is geared on fashion, travel. What else? Anything
And
else?
a little bit of beauty. A little bit of
Okay,
beauty. As a matter of fact, today I'm about to talk about the Kiehl's Friends and Family sale coming up. But yeah.
Kiehl's, I love their lotion. I've been using forever.
Okay.
I love it.
It's so funny that you say that because literally when we hang up, I am getting on Instagram and I'm talking about that lotion. And it's so funny because my girlfriend has been telling me about that forever. And I remember thinking, I don't even understand what the big deal is. And then I bought it. And even my photographer said, what do you put on your legs? And you know, our photographers, they can zoom in on some crazy stuff.
Yes.
And so, yes, the lotion, the creme de corps, amazing.
It is my favorite.
I have it on right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I always wear it. So yeah. And so they're having a sale. Okay, good. I'm going to
30% off. So,
oh, wow. Yeah. That's huge too. So, so anyway, well, Susie, thank you again for taking the time out of your busy, busy day. Cause I know you are super busy and I hope you do find some time to kind of slow down and get all the things, you know, it does take intention to slow down sometimes, but because it's hard to say no to all the things that we want to do at this stage.
Yeah,
you know?
it is. Well, that is top of mind right now. So I'll circle back and let you know.
Yeah, you do that. Well, thank you again so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.